Good evening, my dear honourable friends. Yeah, well, we are really up against the ropes big time when you take into consideration the level of awareness where people are, and it just totally, the level of awareness is just so low. They go back into default mode and try to find answers politically. To put it in a simplistic way, politics is the equivalent of WWE wrestling, where you've got the wrestlers that in the ring appear to be hating one another, play fighting, blah blah blah. They'll play fight it out in the ring, which would be the political stage. However, in the background, in the back room, they're all sitting down, having their knees up. It's just the way politics is. That's how politics runs. It's how it is. It's how it's been. It's how the system's been for many years. Okay, yeah, in some ways, it can slightly stall an agenda, delay an agenda, i.e., Boris Johnson getting up now saying blah blah blah, this, that, and the other. Well, he will have inevitably call for a delay, not a scrappage, not for it to be scrapped, because it's an agenda. We're living in an agenda. We were born in to this agenda. The agenda is nothing new. For those of the people that have been paying attention, you'll know that this agenda's been going on for decades and decades. Well, I've only just picked up it myself 15 years ago, and even then I didn't think that it went to the extent that it does. And over the years of researching, of letting people have their say and sitting down and listening and giving people the time to express themselves, is truly the only way that you can get your head around it. If you're ignorant, if you remain ignorant in believing that the political figures that are out there are going to come in and save you, then wow. These political figures, they know the coup themselves. They are egotistical, narcissistic. They have all those traits, psychopathic by nature. So for them, it's quite easy to go along with the whole pantomime show, the theatricals, the Punch and Judy. It's very easy, because if they stop doing that, that would be their bread and butter taken away from them. So by duping you, fooling you, that's their bread and butter. That is their bread and butter. Now, it is apparent that you don't have a democracy. It's just so apparent. It's so blatant. And to see people still fall back into that default mode where they are waiting for their saviour, their political saviour, to come down from the clouds and grab them and take them away to safety, is just absurd. It's absurd. Hence why I repeatedly say in all my videos to give people time to talk. i.e. like myself, I'm one of these type of people that will, if someone's got an idea or has got verifiable evidence, I will sit down and I'll check that out. I ain't going to just rubbish them off as conspiracy theorist, blah, blah, blah. You sit down, you have a look at the evidence that is presented to you, and you can verify it. You check out the evidence for yourself without the need of full fact or fact checkers or this, that and the other. You use your own mind. So we now, for me anyway, personally, for many years, as I said at the very beginning when I started grappling with all the information, I did not think that it went as deep as what I know it goes now. And it's very alarming when you're trying to direct people to valuable information for them just to then throw it back in your face and rubbish you off as being someone that is cooking up conspiracy theories. I find that extremely, I find it very troubling. That people just cannot think for themselves, cannot take the time to sit and care to read through the information that's presented to them. Even can't be in the chair of the World Economic Forum's subgroup, the C40 cities, and the UK 100, which is the agenda on a local level where they've penetrated the councils to bring in, to advocate, their words not mine, to advocate the changes that they want to bring into society, where we are going to be steered to net zero. To be called a conspiracy theorist for merely stating the obvious is just ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. And see, this is the thing. I hate that word, conspiracy theorist. I hate that word because it drives people away from seeking the truth. Because the way it's been weaponized, used to attack people that are merely just trying to present information and evidence, verifiable. You could easily verify the information. But yeah, they've used that. And they've used a lot of other words as well. Words that I won't say because you will be demonised as being blah, 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 this, that and the other. So I won't go into them words, but the conspiracy theorist one is a word that I don't mind being called now, because obviously it gets prattled on all the time. But to be called it when you are literally giving people the evidence is, as I said, ludicrous. And it just goes to show the type of people that we are trying to, for those of the people that are in the same position as me, trying to steer folk to looking into the information, because it's going to inevitably affect their families, their children, their grandchildren, etc., their future generations, to then be rubbished off as a madman or a madwoman because they lack the cognitive, the capacity to be able to look at it and put it up and tie it all into tie all the pieces of the puzzle together. And it is quite sad in a way that people lack that ability to merely just look at the information without being manipulated from another group. Hence why I always say, use your own mind. Don't listen to me. Do not listen to me. Take the time. You should really be doing this for your families. And your friends and your neighbours, because where this all ends up, it's not nice. It's not nice. To keep going back and forth, playing badminton, table tennis with politics is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. A lot of people go, yeah, but I've got a democracy. You have no democracy. I did see an article the other day where they had the waiters, the government did come in and said, yeah, the waiters were able to keep their tips. They made a law where they were allowed to keep their tips. Just that one story there would cement to someone that they have a democracy. These little low-level type things. Oh, I've got a democracy. You on a small scale, little tiny things they push out, they give you, yeah, maybe. But the big things, the agenda to meet net zero, cutting off your carbon footprint, blah, 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 you have none. You have none. They've got their boys in there that are primed for their positions, Mr. Khan, Mr. Starmer, Mr. Rishi Sunak, the whole lot of them. They're all the same. They're all from the strings, their strings will attach to the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, blah, blah, blah. All these other organisations have all amalgamated together. The conglomerates have all came together. And their main goal is control over us. Full-on control. That means your democracy goes down the drain. And it's apparent. Just look at what is going on. It's so apparent. I shouldn't even be having to come on here. People should be clued up enough to see that you have no democracy. Surely to God. Rather than keep saying, maybe we'll vote this one in, or then we'll vote that one in, or we'll vote this. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. As I've said many a times before, left and right wing politics is pretty much like having Fred West and Rose West. You've got to pick out the two. People, come on. Come on. And I'm just trying to simplify this for people. Because as I said, 15 years ago, it took me, I'd say about 2 or 3 years, and I'm being honest when I say this, it took me about 2 or 3 years to get my head around it. Because there was so much information. I was an out and out sheep. I would put the news on and believe absolutely everything that was on that news. I would pick up a newspaper and read absolutely everything in the newspaper as being truth. And then obviously as time went on, I started seeing the cracks. And it was made apparent to me. 2020, I knew straight away what was going down. And obviously the years before that, I could see what they were doing. They were accelerating and pushing on with their agenda. So it wasn't, a lot of people are sort of coming in from the storm now. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to look into. They don't know who is who. They're trying to still find, they're still trying to find, they're still seeking for political saviours. Oh, man. Yeah. still seeking for political saviours to come in and save them. Crazy, absolute madness. These people are like WWE wrestlers. Whatever one you've got that you may find some sort of trust in, understand that they are compromised. These people are compromised. Doesn't matter who they bring in. Whatever messiah they bring in, they're all compromised. It is a production. It's a production to keep you dumbed down and from away from using your own mind. Simple stuff. Little girl I see she was at the Oxford protest the other day. She literally said it as it is. That's a 12-year-old. People go, yeah, she might have been influenced by her parents. I don't know. She seemed like she was saying it from the heart. And obviously she's got good parents. That's good parenting. Because the stuff that she was coming out with in regards to the 15-minute cities and the zones and all that, fair play to her. That's a 12-year-old. Now I'm dealing with adults that still think that they have a political saviour. Wow. Wowee. And it is so frightening and I do apologise, that's my bulldog snoring. He's snoring away. It's hard. It's hard to keep on trying to get people to think. I don't know what's wrong with people. Just don't know what is wrong with them. As soon as you say anything, they'll just come back with you with a load of information from fact checkers that we know are privately owned. And they're just not willing to look at other people's perceptions, which I find is very narcissistic in a way. If you're unable to listen to the perspective of somebody else that is going to impact these 15-minute cities in Oxford, is going to impact, then that's very narcissistic. And especially if you suddenly just shoot them down as conspiracy theorists, that's absolutely... I do not know how these people with that mindset have survived for so long. And there's a lot of these guys are like 50s, in their 50s, 60s, some in their 40s, some in their even 30s. How have you survived that long to have that mindset, that worldview, that narrow-minded, cemented mind worldview of how you think life is? You don't have a democracy. You cannot have a democracy when the world is steered on the private interest of others. What don't people understand when I say that? Like, it truly is the level of indoctrination and conditioning that has gone on for the decades and decades and decades. It's truly something. It is true. It's magnificent. The whole production behind the whole thing is truly magnificent. And to some extent, I do actually, as I've said many times before, applaud them in a way, because if you can get gullible people, keep them dumb, stupid, and ignorant and narcissistic. Obviously, some people are narcissistic by nature, but yeah, so they will inevitably fall in line and toe the line and keep the other sheep in line. Yeah, it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. This video here is primarily just for the people that may be trying to get their head around it and how it works. And it's such a simplistic, the most simplistic way I can put into words for someone who is sort of tackling what is going on and try and sort of fast track them. to comprehend it, articulate their minds so that they can understand it more easily. So hence why I've come out with that analogy there. The WWE Wrestling Federation, when they go in and they used to, like the Royal Rumble, you get them all together. Well, that would be the equivalent of the political, the whole political thing where you're siding with your politicians, your political parties. They're all just tag teams, and after that, after the show's ended, they go and have a knees up. They'll join each other for a beer because they're all on the payroll, and they don't want to lose. See, they don't want to lose their positions, their political positions, because for them to lose their political positions, that means they'd have to pull their children out of these top schools, blah blah blah. They wouldn't have the lives that they have, so they will fight to keep that. Hence why they stab each other in the back as well in politics. And so yeah, it's politics. The whole thing is politics, and it's as I said, a massive production presented to the masses, who then watch the Punch and Judy show without knowing that the same character is behind the little stage with both puppets on each hand battling it out. You look at the technocrats at the World Economic Forum, Mr. Klaus Schwab, and he is a puppet as well himself. The people actually running the whole thing, they put these people there to take the heat off of them. You won't know these people that are really running it. You ain't going to see them. They're not going to be in the public eye. They're going to be well hidden away, well out of the public eye. These people, these are like trillionaires. They've got the billionaires in there doing it, doing all the business with the all the technocrats and technocracy, the unelected and the unaccountable. So yeah, they get these guys to do that job. Bring in the big governance, the New World Order, one world government. People go, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy theorist. It's in their face. It is in their face. Now, it's becoming even more apparent, yet still people they still can't see it. They still cannot see it. And you got the people dropping like flies as well. The excess death rates across the UK, across the whole world. Europe, Germany, over 40% excess death rates. They're going ham on the Germans, badly. So yeah, all this is all coming in. The media blackouts. Yeah, people still can't see it. People can't see it. It's the fall of the empire, in a way. It's the fall of the life that you once knew, and they're bringing us into this new system, this new agenda, where they will be floating about in their big motors, and you'll be pedaling in the rain to save the planet. You'll be brainwashed into believing that you're saving the planet by pedaling. You know, even I went to Morocco back in 2020. Not 2020. 2002. 2002. I do apologise. I went to Morocco. And there was children selling petrol out of which were once Coca-Cola bottles. Emptied out, obviously drunk Coca-Cola bottles, filled them up with petrol, selling the petrol on the side of the roads. All these other countries, they're literally They're not going to be peddling. They'll be burning fossil fuel. Even that fossil fuel, that's another one there. They'll be burning petrol, diesel, what have you. They'll be burning that, and you will be, well, you are emotionally blackmailed into believing that you're going to be saving the world by having nothing and being happy. So yeah, great con job. Great con job. You got to admit, you have to take your hat off to them to a certain extent in regards to the way they've hoodwinked people. You have to give them that respect. You have to respect thy enemy. You have to respect thy enemy. And I can only see things getting a lot worse as these months, years go on. There's going to be a lot of people that will not be able to sort of adapt to the new system coming in. Because when people go through a crisis, they'll be going through crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis. And psychologically speaking, if you have one crisis, you can get by. If you have two crises, you can get by. When you start having 3s, 4s, 5s, 6, 7, when you start having all them crises, one after another, or all at once, that's when people start giving up. They'll either give up or they will go mad. And or they will get angry, which is something I do believe the orchestrators of this want. They want martial law, because that way they can bring in their measures. They can force it upon the people, and your human rights will go straight out the window. So I do truly believe that is something that they're aiming for as well. They've got all bets covered. These people have got all bets covered. And yeah, it's fascinating to actually sit back now and just watch it all roll out. It's amazing. It truly is amazing. Anyway, people, I've got a slight cold, so it's been a bit hard for me to communicate there, as I've got this fizzing in my nose all the time. But yeah, I'll leave this one here, and hopefully this can fast track people into getting a better understanding of what is going on and how it's going to play out. Yeah, I'll leave this one here, guys. I wish you all a pleasant evening, and cheerio.